Hey, how's it going, everyone? So today we're gonna do some live sourcing on eBay and also on Amazon. We're gonna try to find some undervalued books on both of those platforms and then just resell them on Amazon FBA for kind of what they're worth. And the idea here is just to buy low and really not necessarily sell high, but just buy low, something that's super undervalued, and then sell it back for what it's worth. So that's what we're gonna try to do today. Let's go ahead and let's jump right into the screen here and let's do it. All right, so the way that we're going to do this is utilizing a couple of software. So the first one that I'm going to use is something called Flipmine, and the other one I'm going to use is something called Keepa. For those of you who have used Keepa in your Amazon business before, I'm sure you've used Keepa a lot to try to evaluate whether or not a product is good to buy or not, but not a lot of people actually use Keepa's features to find products. So that's what we're going to use as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at Flipmine first. So if you're not sure what Flipmine is, essentially what it does is find products on eBay, tries to match them to the same product on Amazon, and if there's a price difference between them and therefore a potential to make some money by buying on eBay and flipping on Amazon, then it should save those results here. So here's sort of my here's sort of the filters that I have set up for Flipmine here. So I'm looking at books in use condition, Amazon price is greater than 85, and I'm looking for sales rank that's less than 2 million. So I'm looking for books that actually might not really sell that frequently, but have a history of having some pretty good value. Like, for example, this book here, the consumer book, this is probably not going to be something that we can flip because this difference in price is not really great enough, but this is something that actually holds a lot of value. So this could be potentially something to track in the future. So let's take a look at the Keepa graph here. Yeah, this book clearly probably has some value if it's that expensive. And you can actually see I did start tracking this for $55, but this is a book that moves for right around $200 pretty frequently throughout the year. But there have been times in the past where the price of it went pretty low. So this went down to $18.98 there. So this is something that I would definitely want to track because in the future, this could be a potential lead. So let's go ahead and let's look at some other books here. Let's see if we can find anything that looks super undervalued. Really all I'm doing is comparing these two prices right here and seeing this potential ROI. Now, most of the time, Flipmine is not going to be accurate, which is not necessarily a bad thing because I think it frustrates a lot of people. And so a lot of people quit using it because they're like, man, it's not giving me everything, on a silver platter. So and there's definitely some digging and mining that you have to do to find something that's good. Okay, this looked really interesting to me, although it doesn't really sell a whole bunch. And also, if we look at when it has sold, I mean, between 40 and 90 looks like what it has sold for. But generally, if we look back in the past, it's probably selling new right around like $35. So this is also something that would take a little bit more work because you'd have to make sure all the pieces are there. So this is something that I would pass on just because it actually would take quite a bit of work to figure out if it has everything that we need. Let's see if there's anything else. This is giving us a huge difference in price. This number here is probably not anywhere close to realistic, but we'll still look at it because it could potentially be realistic. And you can see, like, here's an example of a mismatch. Like, it's showing you this book and it's matching it to a blender. So clearly that is not accurate. The Myth of the Goddess. This looks interesting. So $6 to 24. I'll take a look at that. And this one goes 33 to 53, and this one goes 59 to 112. So let's open up these ones to see if any of these look somewhat decent. So this is definitely a Bible here, $87. You'd have to go ahead and send an offer. And one thing that's kind of a little bit difficult with Bibles is you have to make sure that they're the same Bible, right? Because there's a lot of variations of Bibles. One thing I can tell right off the bat is that this is not worth $400. So someone came on the listing here February 2nd. They're pricing it well above what this thing should be selling for, because Amazon, when they were in stock, the most that they ever sold it for is 90, but they've been as low as 40. I mean, it's gone out of stock. Are people willing to pay, what would that be, 5x the retail price? Clearly not, because even when this was listed at 75, only a few people bought it. So completely unrealistic price, at least here on Amazon. So definitely not going to be selling it for that. Let's see who we got in the chat. May, good morning. Good to see you, May. We got Du back in the chat. Nice to see you as well. Doing some of this live sourcing. Let's do it. All right, now we're on to the Myth of the Goddess, $6.79. So this could potentially be good, and it's really cheap. Buy box is over here is $89. If we look over here on the Keepa graph, what we see though is that this book basically has right around like $10. Like $10 is what its base value is, and it's pretty much $10 throughout the whole year. So what that tells us is that this is not going to be a good deal, right? The only way that we would make money flipping this is if we were to exploit the buy box. So 679. I mean, for us to make a decent amount, you'd probably want to sell for $29.99. But if we look at the floor price of this book, it's generally around $10, $11. So like I said, in order for us to make money, we'd have to exploit the buy box. So let's look at the prime offers here. And let's look at that. Yeah, 89 is the lowest prime offer. I would highly doubt that any of these sales are gonna like any of these people are gonna sell this, because the difference between that floor price and that buy box is massive, right? It's like, think about it logically. Do you want to spend 15 bucks for this in use condition, get it in a week, or do you want to get it in 2 days and spend an extra $75? Like, I'm not willing to do that. I don't think many people are gonna be willing to do that, so I would pass on that. The teaching and learning, 33 bucks. You can buy it for 14 on Amazon. So this would be a potential Amazon to Amazon flip. This book has sold, 5 or 6, 7 times here between September and January. It looks like the lowest it sold for is 25, and it sold a few times right around 30. And if we go and take a look at this buy box, let's see if this buy box actually sold here. So I'm not even seeing them being in stock here. So that data is not really showing there. But I mean, you could say probably around 30 is what this has sold for. If we go back a little bit further back in time, all of these clusters of sales in 2021 were above $40. That's good. Some of these were above 60. A couple of these were actually close to 100. There has been a point in time in 2019 where this was right around $4. But generally, I'd say this book holds around like $30 worth of value. So I would say this book is undervalued right now. $18. So we got 18, 18, 18, 18. So we have 4 copies at $18, and then it goes back up to 96. So I think 96 is going to be pushing it. I mean, there is historical data which has showed that it has sold at that price before in the past. So it's not that it couldn't happen again. It definitely could. But I would say these are definitely undervalued. I would consider picking up 1 or 2 of these copies, especially because this is a book from 1972, which means there probably isn't a newer edition. It clearly has value still. People are still willing to pay it. What is this? 40 years later, so 40, 50 years later. So I would say this is something that I would definitely pick up. I don't know how deep I would go because it doesn't move all the time. I'd probably sell 1 or I'd probably buy like 1, maybe 2, and you'd have to, buy this for 18 bucks and you'd flip this. I mean, I'd probably put mine in there for like $49.99 as a prime seller and try to sell it as quickly as possible. But I think it would definitely move at that. So that's a book that I would buy for sure. Let's see. But notice that we found the book using FlipMine, ended up buying it on Amazon because it was actually cheaper on Amazon. And so I actually buy a lot of books on Amazon that way. Let's see if there's other things that look interesting. Keep going. Complex variables. This one looks interesting as well. I would doubt that that's actually good there. All right, who else we got in here? We got Mary. Mary coming from Texas. Hello, is it sunny over there in Texas? Right now, it looks like a pretty nice day. It's pretty early today here in San Diego, but looks like today is going to be a good day, so I'm excited. All right, $99 for this as little design as possible. Let's go over to Amazon. Lowest use price is $199. That's actually registering as a buy box, but for some reason, Keepa is not showing. So it says Amazon does not provide any data for this product. Let's go down to see if it has a sales rank. It does have a sales rank of 500,000. However, like I mentioned, it does not have a Keepa graph, which, I don't feel comfortable buying books without being able to see Keepa, especially if I'm going to spend $100. The only other way that you could try to determine if this has value is if you were to go ahead and look at the eBay sold comps. So what we could do is we could look this up, sold on eBay through SellerAmp, and it doesn't look like there's anything there. Let me see if I can copy and paste the title here. See if we can find anything. We got 99. Let's go ahead and click sold comps and let's see if anything sold. Okay, so this is actually promising. We got 153 plus $16 shipping. That's good. We got 232, then 232. So that is good news. And the sales rank of this is 500,000. Generally, a 500,000 sales rank in books would be something that is probably moving somewhat frequently. But again, sales rank can be misleading at times. So, I would say this one still might be pretty decent. Let's look at what the yeah, so it goes 195. This person has 5 copies, then it goes up to 400. So those 400 is probably not realistic, but this is something that you might take a gamble on. Like if you spend 99.99, I'd probably just try to send it in for 199. You make 58 bucks. So, would I do this? Maybe. I'd have to think about it a little bit more because again, not being able to see Keepa is actually a pretty big deal because Keepa is everything to me because it lets me know whether or not it's going to be something that that I can feel comfortable with. What's up, AJ? Nice to see you coming from Los Angeles. You're coming in early. I appreciate that. Mary says, yeah, supposed to be 80 degrees today. Awesome. Glenn, how's it going, Glenn? Good morning. I was in San Diego. Nice. San Diego last week visiting my daughter and grandson. That's awesome, man. Yeah, San Diego, you probably came when it was raining quite a bit, but San Diego is awesome. I love San Diego. All right. Blackjack Volume 4, 38 bucks is what we can pick it up for here on Amazon or on eBay. Excuse me. Go over to Amazon. Look at this buy box price, everyone. $336. Probably completely unrealistic. It looks like it is unrealistic. This book has kind of gone up and down in price like crazy. But again, what you're looking for is when did the book sell? And it looks like pretty much all the sales occur at the dips, meaning when the price of the book was lowest. So we got to sell 32. Looks like we have a couple of sales here right around. Probably there's one sell at $9, couple sales at 30, another sell at 30, another sell on the way up, maybe around like 48 there. So I would say this book probably has like value right around $30. It's probably what it was worth. If we go back into time a little bit, we can see what this sold for MSRP. Looks like Amazon sold it for about 15 bucks. So I would say $39 might be a little bit overvalued on eBay. So definitely wouldn't even buy this on eBay. It is available on Amazon here, $16 plus $4 shipping. I would say this is probably slightly undervalued, but not enough where I think you can make money outside of trying to exploit textbook season. So sorry, exploiting the buy box. So this is something I would pass on, not undervalued enough for me. Let's see. There we go. We got Checkmate Flips in the house. Everyone go check out this guy. He's got a great channel. He does eBay to Amazon as well. Not usually books. He does some books, but go check him out. He's a really cool guy. And let's keep going. All right, complex variables. We could pick this up for 80. Let's go to Amazon. Lowest use price is 123, so that's a good sign. Buy box is 146. Notice that the new price is about 180 though. So remember, new prices are always going to be our ceiling. That's kind of our threshold for how high we can go. And this is a McGraw-Hill book. Let's see when this was published. This came in 2013. All right, so this has been out for a little bit. I don't see a newer edition. Generally, if there is a newer edition, it would populate here. Sales rank of this is actually amazing. You can see this has textbook seasonality, especially in January, a little bit in August, September. And the way that you know that it has textbook seasonality is you see that sales rank have this little U shape here. So let's go and take a look. We'd have to spend $79.80 on this book. And this book would move pretty quickly, although the margin on it wouldn't be amazing. So let's see. If you were to send this in, right now the buy box is 145, which I would say that'd be best case scenario probably is that you get 145 because generally the book is a little bit less than that. You can see in the last year's off season before we got to the next textbook season, it was kind of hovering right around 70 to 80. So, if you're buying it right now for 80, my prediction is that probably over the next couple months, the price of this book is going to go down a little bit as the next textbook season comes up. So, I mean, you could try to send it in there, try to get the buy box for 145, and you'd make $33. But again, notice that the buy box here, these little purple dots, it has been much lower than that in the past as well, even during textbook season. So it has been as low as about 113. And that's the problem is like, if you have to sell at 113, you're barely making your money back. So this is something that I would send an offer on for sure. But unfortunately, this is thrift books. So thrift books is they're not going to want to obviously accept your offer. Did I buy that book, Lee, that I talked to you about? You know what? I have that in my DM, so I have to go back and have to look at it. But I definitely want to. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back and see if we can snag that book for sure. Because according to what ROI potentially you're talking about on that book, like that would definitely be something that I would be interested in for sure. Ciao Bautista, $49. Over on Amazon, you can buy it for 32. This is something that just doesn't really move much. So it's moved about three times. Generally, though, this book looks like when it is selling, it's right around 35. So it's actually, in my opinion, overvalued on eBay. So not a good deal. Herman Miller, 60 bucks. Let's go over to Amazon. Okay, 140. That looks pretty good over on Amazon. Notice that this book does move a lot. It has actually been moving more slowly more recently because the price of this has gone up, and that makes sense. As things become more expensive, you usually start pricing people out of the market. There's usually a little bit less demand for stuff, but this book is still moving at $100. Notice probably the reason for this is the used offer count. Notice how the used offer count right here when the used price is right around like 60 to 70 or right around 50 to 60 bucks, that used offer count is right around like 12 to 13. And as this used offer count went down, we actually see the used price go up. So it looks like used offer count is the lowest it's ever been in the last year. They're selling this in lowest, basically in lowest used merchant price is 140, and the new third party price is right around 130. So I would say this is something that looks like it is a good deal. So we'd had to pick this up for $59.95. And what would we try to sell it for? I mean, we do want to sell it. Let's look at some of these buy box prices. You can see this person did go out of stock here. So they went from 1 to 0. They were in the buy box at 89. So they sold theirs at 89. Probably most of these sales, in my opinion, are in new condition, though. And the reason why I say that is because you see a lot of action with the new offer count going up and down. So it goes like 4 to 3 to 2, then it goes back up, and then it goes back down. But also, if the used price and the new price are very similar to each other, you would expect that most people would buy it in new condition because, difference between 145 used condition versus 158 new condition, most people are like, all right, it's just barely a little bit more. It probably makes more sense to buy this in new condition, especially if you're buying this for so much money. So if I were to send this in, I probably would try to list this right around like 100 and maybe like 110. And you can flip it for like a $20 profit, which would be like a 32% ROI. So again, something that would not be great. I would still try to, this is someone you could probably send an offer to. I'd say, hey, would you do 40 bucks for this? So let's see if they do 40. So I just contact the seller here, come down here, contact the seller, and then I'm gonna say, hey, would you do 40? And I don't think there's free shipping. So I'll say, hey, would you do 40? I'll send them a message. And if we type in 40 instead and we try to sell for 110, then it's looking a lot better there for sure. So sending offers is definitely going to be important for making books a little bit more profitable. Morning, King Joji. Nah, man, you're the king. What's up, Cody? Good to see you. This is another cool guy you got to check out. Go to his YouTube channel, Echo Flips. He does mostly online arbitrage. So he's got a channel. He's been pumping out some content. Yeah, go check him out. Have you ever bought books from Better World Books to flip on Amazon? 100%. Yeah, I've bought books from Better World Books on Amazon. They're also on eBay. I think I just bought one yesterday from them. But that book is mooning. Yeah, it's going to the moon, man. You use offer counts down, so price going up, something that we see quite a bit. And you can actually see this happen in the past as well. Like Amazon was selling this in new condition for about $59. You can see they went out of stock. You can see how their price changed as a result, right? That new offer count dropped like crazy. The used offer count dropped like crazy. And then Amazon came back in stock again. They went back out of stock. And so this is a product that just goes up and down when Amazon comes in and out of stock. So, I mean, potentially you could also set a tracker for Amazon here. So you could say, the lowest Amazon's ever been is $53.98. So you could track it in the Amazon new condition. And so if you track it over the next 3 years, if they ever come back in stock, you can get notified. And if maybe they only have a couple copies, you can buy them. And, again, looking at past historical data, this is clearly a book that has value after Amazon goes out of stock. So it looks like it goes up to double, maybe even close to triple the retail price. So this is something that could potentially be worth tracking in new condition and buying in new condition. But again, I went ahead and sent that offer at $40. We'll see if that person responds. And let's see if there's anything new that's popped up. And then I have one other set of filters here, and we can see if maybe there's anything there. All right, this looks interesting here as well. This looks like we got a couple books. So we got an old textbook. This looks like something I would be reading in middle school, to be honest with you. But some of these books can still hold decent value. Buy box is 44. If you look at its Keep a Chart, this has actually sold for some pretty good money in the last textbook season. Like look back here in August, this was moving for over $100. That's the power of textbook season. And this is why you track everybody. Look at this. This book was $65, went all the way down to $3 in the buy box price. So this was probably no, this wasn't a prime offer, but $3. I mean, if you would have picked that up at $3, look, you could have sold it for $60, $70 to $50. Like, this is why you track books. Because let's say you had to pay, $4 shipping, you'd have ended up buying that book for $7. You would have flipped it for 65. You would have made a $33 profit with basically no risk at all. So again, that's why you track books. But let's see if this makes sense. 25 bucks, you'd have to spend basically $29 to get this shipped to you. You can actually buy it right now on Amazon for about the same price, if not a little bit cheaper. And it looks like this is, you can find one in very good condition. And there are quite a number of copies up in, right around this range until you start increasing. So something like this that still has a lot of prime offers that are really low. I mean, they definitely are going to move when you come August, September, but there's still actually quite a bit of time before we get a textbook. So this is something that I would track to go a little bit lower. I would say this is something I'd probably track for like $12. It's very possible it could get to that price over the next couple months. And if we buy a couple, we might be able to buy it right before the textbook season of August and throw that in there. Yeah, have I ever bought books from Amazon EU? I have. I bought them from the UK marketplace. They take a lot longer to get shipped here, but I do recently remember buying a book for like 16 bucks on Amazon UK and flipping it for like 90. So yeah, definitely done that. Although I don't do it a ton. Yeah, so I have done it a few times. Yeah, that book has sold for $350 at one point in new condition. Yeah, so if you're buying, like I said, if you set that tracker to buy it from Amazon in new condition, you could sell it as a third party in new condition. Because I guess if at the end of the day, if Amazon calls you out, you say, look, I bought it from you. Like, here's the receipt. I bought this in new condition from you. But generally, I don't sell things like books. I generally sell in used condition, even if it is new. Like I don't sell it in new condition. But I don't know. I'm not sure what your thoughts on that are. But generally, I just list books in new condition, even if it is technically new. Okay, this book from 1997, this is a bonsai book, so probably has a little bit of value. You can see that it kind of at its lowest point, its kind of base price is right around $8 or $9. It has sold for more than that, though. It has sold for up to 40. If we click one of these little purple buy box used dots, this actually moved here for $17. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so it actually moved for 17, but there were a couple sales ring drops when the lowest used price was around 39, so it has potential to go that high. You had to sell here at 48. If we go a little bit further, this book ebbs and flows, right? It definitely in the past has gone really low. It's gone down to a couple dollars, then it's gone back up. I would say inherently this book probably has right around like $25 to $30 like in used condition. Like that's probably what it's worth. And because this again ebbs and flows, this is something that I would track for probably right around like $250 plus shipping. And here's the reason why I would track it for that price, because if this comes down to $250 plus $4 shipping, I'm buying it for $649. This has pretty consistent history of selling for around 30 35 bucks. If you send in at 35 and you're making a great ROI. I mean, this is something that it's not like you're picking up a ton of copies when you buy it, but the point is I think this has the potential to be a great flip when this gets really cheap. So that's something that I would track. I wouldn't buy it right now. I think it's not that it's overvalued, it's just that there's not enough margin to buy it right now, in my opinion. So that's something that I would not buy right now. Okay, Vienna Melody. Let's take a look at this book quickly. All right, this actually looks somewhat decent. If we look at the last 3 months, I mean, it's moved a couple times for 30. Also moved a couple times in here for about 15. So right now it's right around 12. I mean, this is something that, again, it's potential that you could send in. It doesn't look like there's any prime offers right now. It's something that would still be inherently pretty cheap, though. Like you'd have to list this for probably right around like $35 to $39. And, Amazon was selling this in new condition between 15 and 18. So again, not enough margin there. It doesn't excite me too much. So that's something that I would definitely pass on still. All right, let's go over to Keepa. Let's see some Keepa sourcing. All right, I'm gonna go to my recent notifications. So these are books that I've been notified over nighttime. So let's take a look at some of them. So this is a image guided spine intervention. This book has just been tanking in price. Its used offer count really hasn't gone up too much, but it's just tanking in price. It has been this cheap in the past before, though, and then it did go back up in price. So this is something that probably has a newer edition. That'd be my guess. it is the first edition. I don't see a newer edition attached to this, so maybe it doesn't have a newer edition, but this came out in 2002. So this definitely is old. It has been, it was still selling for some pretty good money. I mean, look how crazy this used prices over time. So, like I said, it did kind of bottom out here in 2019, right around 59, which is kind of what it's at again today. Used offer count is going up, and if we look at the last 3 years, it is starting to creep up, which is probably the reason why the price of it's going back down. But let's take a look at the offers here. Let's see what we're looking at. So we got a couple of, we got acceptable condition, good copy, about 3 right around 40, and then we got some prime offers coming in at $60, 60, 65. So we have, three or so copies there, and then we go down. So again, this is something that, I would probably just keep tracking, honestly, because it looks like it's just going to continue nosediving here, to be honest. So let's go. I'm just going to go and update this to $25, and I'm going to get rid of that new tracking as well. So let me update that. Let's go and take a look at, so we got this physical examination book. So what am I tracking this for $15? Again, it hit my tracker there, but it looks like kind of this book is also just very slowly going down in value as well. So this is a 2020 book, probably becoming obsolete. There's probably like a 2022 version or 2023 version is probably why it's going down in price. So let's go and let's just type this into Amazon. Let's see if there is a newer edition of this available. Probably is. Let's see, 2022. Yes, here's the 2022 version. This probably is, very expensive. There's only one new seller right now for $149. There aren't any used conditions on the listing or any used offers on the listing. That makes sense. It's a newer book. And then this book now is kind of just tanking in price. And the buy box is also basically it's like stuck to that lowest use price. So it looks like Amazon, or it looks like a prime offer is the lowest price right now, right around $18.72. So this is something that I would stop tracking that product. All right, let's go back. Let's see if anything else looks pretty interesting. $12. Okay, this is experiencing archaeology. This potentially could be a pretty good flip right here. Let's go and take a look. Right now it's $30, so it's not. Keepa said that it got down to about $25, but let's look at Keepa. For some reason, this has just gone up and down, up and down, up and down, and it looks like it has hit my tracker at $12.43. So at $12.43 plus shipping, you spend about like $16.40 on this. If we look back in the past, I mean, it hasn't been moving a ton, but it has been moving above $50 in used condition. I mean, the used price has been hugging the new price, so obviously selling it for 64 is probably unlikely. Maybe something more like 55 would be realistic, and I think that would be profitable. So yeah, that's something that this has had some pretty good consistent data of it. If it's selling in used condition, probably very close to the new condition. So this is something, if it went back to that $13, I'd pop on that. But I don't know. It's weird that its price has gone up and down like that. It's really weird. All right, let's see. Let's keep going. The digital design. So some of these are just my tracking is expired. All right. Okay, so here's something that probably would have been good. Yeah, this book had been moving for about $100, and then you can actually see that it dipped in price from 100 all the way down to 13. But I was sleeping during this time. If I was awake when this notification happened, I could have bought it for 13. If I would have bought it for 13, that would have been an opportunity to flip it for maybe close to 100. Here's an example of what, if someone who actually did buy it. So the price went from 79 all the way down to 20. Sales rank drops, so someone did actually buy that there. It is possible. It is likely that someone bought these because the used offer count dropped from 42. The sales rank just hasn't dropped yet. It hasn't registered yet on Keepa. But yeah, this is something that would have been a great deal, because if we go over here and type this in, then let's go and see. You would have bought this for like 13. I've actually bought this before. I think I have sold this before. So you'd have bought this for about 13. You would have sold it for about, I mean, the most recent sales have been at 100. So I mean, you'd make some incredible profit there. That'd be sick. Let's go. Cody says your newsletter page looks clean. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I spent a little bit of time working on it, so I'm glad that you like it, man. Yeah, for anyone here, if you're interested in just getting some updates about what I'm doing in terms of new courses, in terms of exclusive things that I don't really do on YouTube, then I do have a newsletter that's linked down below. You can go ahead and just send in your, you can just provide your email if you're interested in getting the newsletter. Also have a Discord group that I think has about close to 100 members now. Same thing, link down below. Is completely free if you want to join. You can ask some good questions. There's some really cool people in there. All right, let's see if anything else. Computer, let's see what this notification is. So this is something that underwent a repricing where really recently. The price of this is right around like $9 to $10. This has shown some pretty good history of selling in the past, but this is a textbook. You always got to be careful with textbooks because, again, textbooks, they come out new editions all the time. And if they come out newer editions, then it's going to be harder to sell your older edition normally. Now, you would notice that normally that newer edition would populate here. So it's possible this is the newest edition. Let's see how many offers we have at this really low price. Looks like we got a couple of prime offers as well. So we have we have 4 offers really cheap, and then it goes back up. So we actually have 2 prime offers here. This guy's name is Acceptable Books. I love it. That's hilarious. So you have 4 offers right around 10, and it goes up to $100. This is something that inherently doesn't move a lot. Like, it's only moved 5 or 6 times in the past year though. So that's the problem, is that even though this has sold in the past for some pretty decent money, there are a lot of copies relative to how often the book sells. So it's something that, unless you were to buy all of the copies out, which you could do for sure, you could buy all the copies out. Just buying one or 2 copies, like, that used price is still going to be pretty low. So this is something that I probably would pass on, just due to the fact that there's too many copies at that low price. But I wouldn't be surprised, if you were to buy 1 or 2 of these copies and you flipped it for 50 or 60. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if that happened. So here's another example of something that I just wasn't around, but this is why you track books. This is, most recently this book was moving for about 60. In the past, it has moved for as low as 26. Prior to that, it was moving for about 80. And then you can see the price of this dropped from 89 all the way down to 19, and I got a notification, and then the price went back up. Someone probably bought that. Yeah, you can see that the used offer count went from 6 to 5. So someone definitely bought this, but this would have been also a good flip as well. So tracking books is definitely where a lot of the money is at. Okay, let's see. Let's go over. Let's see if anything on Flip Minus popped up. Let's see. So we got nothing new there. It looks like I actually just got a recent notification just like a minute ago on my phone, and it's of this 5-minute anesthesia console book. All right, so this is something that looks pretty good. Let's see. There is a newer edition of this though, so that's gonna be the thing that we're gonna have to navigate. But let's take a look. So the most recent sales of this book have been around 40 plus, and then you can see we have this massive repricing war between 2 sellers. Hit my tracker, now we're down here right around $9. Let's see how many offers are at that low price. Again, we have to be careful because this newer edition is just coming out. So we got 1253 new condition, then we go up to, basically a couple more at 12, and then it goes up to 24 and 40. So right now the prime offers are right around that $40 mark, which is definitely going to be, in my opinion, a reasonable price, considering that the new price is right around 67 right now. So if you were to pick this up for $12.53, if you were to pick this up in very good condition, and you were to try to list it for that 45, you'd be making about 100% ROI. That'd be pretty decent. This would probably still take a little bit. Might take about 3 months or so to move, especially in prime condition. But this is something that honestly I probably would pop on. Let's take a look here at the 2023. So the 2023 version is still very expensive, which is good news. For the newer editions, you always want them to be holding a really consistent high use price, because that tells you that the older edition is going to be it's going to be it's going to be something that is appealing to somebody who might need this newer edition, but isn't willing to pay so much money for it. So that's a good sign that this is still pretty expensive there. So this is something that I would pop on for sure. Again, I would buy it for $12.53, try to flip it for $45. Not doing anything fancy. I mean, it has sold for over $50 and $60 in the past. So that's what I would do with that book there. All right. Let's go over to the deals page, actually. Let's see if we can find anything here. Let's look for things that have dropped in the last day, actually. So let's look at a drop percentage of anything that's dropped 50%. And we want the dollar drop amount to be at least 30 bucks. And the current price, let's have it be anywhere between $0 and $32. For right now, let's go to sales rank of 2 million works for me. Let's filter by the drop here. And then we're doing it over a single day. How many results? There's 168 results to that criteria. All right, let's go and see if there's anything that looks interesting here. Here's what you're going to get mostly when you look at this is you're going to find books that are overvalued and then they drop in price a lot. They come back down to what they should be selling for. Kind of what we want to see, though, is a book that has held pretty consistent value. Something like this, $49.99, and then it's dropped down to $19.99. So probably isn't enough margin on this book because the new third party's coming in right around 30. So there isn't enough margin for this. But if this dropped down to maybe $9.99, this would have been perfect. Let's see. Okay, anything else that looks interesting here? Indian Kitchen, Vantage. Most of these are not going to be exactly what we're looking for, which is fine, right? Everything comes down to just doing volume and just looking at max number of listings as possible. This has maybe sold upwards of $40 in the past, but you notice that when it drops down, it's going down to maybe like 12 or 13 bucks. I would pass on that. Let's see what this looks like. Same thing here. You actually do see this. I mean, it's dropped down to 25. Amazon new condition 64. I mean, this is again something that this is just probably not quite enough margin on it though. Properties of Perpetual Light. I guarantee you though we'll find something that looks good here. All right, let's take a look at this one. So you have some sales at 55. This dropped down to 1867. But there are some sales back here around 30. Let's expand the data a little bit more. Yeah, this kind of holds value right around like $20. It was selling really, really well back when Amazon was on the listing at 25. So I mean, if you pick this up for 1869, you are buying something that holds value. Like this is definitely valued at 19. Like this has that amount of value. But again, recently this was moving for about 50. So you'd have to exploit the low offer count right now. Simply Hot Pots. That looks like it's Japanese. That's a really cool book. I mean, so you'd have to, if you were to flip this for 50, you'd buy it for 1866. You could potentially make money on this. Again, this is something that I mean, Amazon is out of stock, so it is possible that you can sell it for that much. I mean, there are historical sales upwards of 50, even up to 60, even up to 75. So it is possible that you can do that for sure. I mean, again, all these sales were basically at $50, and then they dropped down to 18. And there's what, 2 copies? There's actually 2 copies from the same seller there, 1 copy there, and then it goes up to 30. Yeah, so this is something that I probably would pick up 1 copy of because, like I said, it is really low offer count here. Still, Amazon's not on listing. Inherently, you are buying this. It's like you wouldn't be losing money on this book per se, because again, this was moving for about $20 in used condition very, very frequently, even when Amazon was on the listing. So it holds value for sure. But I would buy one at most of that book if I were to do that. Let's keep going. Buy assets, says Seth, exactly. All right, so this is right around 30 to 40. Drop down here at about 20. So this looks like it's maybe a little bit undervalued. Probably not enough again to make this a home run. There are 2 copies. What a name. Dakota Boys and Girls Ranch Thrift Stores. All right, 100% feedback. But this is something that actually in the past has a history of being kind of ebbing and flowing in price, but generally this book hasn't held much value. So it's really interesting to see that this book has been selling for 30 or 40 dollars in the most recent past. But because this keeper graph in the past doesn't look that great, like it hasn't really held much value, this is something that I'd probably pass on. But I would not be surprised if you bought this and flipped it and made some money though. Toy collector book, disease, another path. Ideally, we find a book that is the lowest that it's ever been. And let's see, this is right around 19. The most recent sell is 50. You have a couple sales here at 26, a couple sales at 40. So let's go and open up the listing. Let's go back in time. This has sold pretty consistently in the past, upwards of $50. It kind of looks like what its ceiling would be. And I actually have purchased this last year. So April 30th, 2022. 65 is the buy box right now. Yeah, I mean, this is something that would be a slow mover for sure. This is something that I would probably track though, because it has gone down as low as $9 in the past, and right now it's right around 20. So this is something that I would probably track for. Am I tracking this? I'm not tracking this. Track this right around $9, because you could have had a better potential deal on that. Let's see what else we got here. Journey from Peppermint Street. And all, by the way, these are all 1 day drops as well. So really what we'd be trying to find is a book that just super went down in price. This is potentially a really great score right here. Okay, it's not, it's bought out. But if we look at Keepa here, again, we have this sort of weird up and down, up and down, up and down in price. But it looks like this has been as low as, what, $7.50. But clearly that's not available anymore. So this could just be a keep error. I'm not sure if the price of this book really is doing that, if it's going up and down in value like that. But clearly this book has some value. It has sold in the past for some pretty good money. And if that were true, if it did go down $8, that'd be a great score right there. Let's see what else we got here. The ultrasound book. African Safari Field Guide. Elvis. All right, here's something I'd probably track. Roads of Texas Atlas. It's been selling right around 35. I mean, that looks like a pretty decent average for this book. It's gone down as low as $9 in the past. Again, if you're tracking it, buy it for $9, flip it for 35. I mean, that's the name of the game. So again, this is something that I would track. I'll track this for $9. But yeah, definitely not right now. Not a price that I would say is going to be profitable per se. Con Artist. So we had to sell 49, went down to 9, only sold once though. Yeah, this is a book. In the past, this is moving for about 10 or 12. So inherently doesn't really hold much value. Let's see what else we got. Now, one way that we could change the Keep Deals page here to get other results is we can just change the price ranges, the drop percentage. We can also change over what period of time we want the drop to exist. So this went from 70, now it's down to 24. Actually, someone came on this in new condition. This just generally doesn't hold a ton of value though, so this is something that I would pass on for sure as well. Rosemary says, hello from Houston. Good to see you there, Rosemary. Thanks for being here. Let's go and let's take a look over here. Let's keep going. Anything else that looks interesting to us? Concrete, mathematics. Spanish edition, little apple gold. Okay, this looks maybe a little bit. Drop down to 30. Thought it dropped more than that. But I'm just analyzing all these Keepa graphs in my head right now. And then anything that looks interesting, I'm going to go ahead and open up. So here's something that looks interesting. This has been generally selling for 45 plus. It's been really close to the new price. And then you can see that the used price of this book just dropped down to $15.59. So if you were to flip this book, you would have to, I mean, you'd be buying it for $15.59 plus shipping. You're probably buying it for about 20 bucks. You'd send it in. You try to sell it for like $49.99. So there's not a lot of room to make money on this, but there is one new copy or one used copy from Worlds of Book USA. So you'd have to spend, this would be $21.58 on this. And if you were to go ahead and send this in, obviously $53 is going to be the ceiling price. You'd have to be under that. This book does move pretty frequently, so I'd say you'd probably send it in at like $47.99. You can make a $6 profit. So, but I mean, there's not quite enough margin on that for me to want to buy it. But you know, if like Amazon's new price was like $69.99, ideally like $79.99, and you could have priced a little bit higher, then it would have been great. But you know, the way Amazon fees work, it's gonna take pretty big chunk of that away. So long-term evolution, a couple sells in the past for right around 60, then it dropped all the way down here to about 963. This book has sold some pretty, so has shown history of selling for some considerable amount of money in the past, and it looks like that copy is not even available anymore. So possibly somebody bought that. So here's a guitar, or let's see, is this playing the treble, the tenor, and the bass? Okay, so this was 73, dropped down to 30. This definitely has some potential here. Let's take a look at this over here on Amazon. So right now this is new for 93. Is there a prime and used condition? Let's see. So there is no prime used seller. So you could win the buy box probably like at $85. You can pick this up from the same seller, Worlds of Book USA. You can pick them up for $30.57. So $30.57. Is that free shipping? Oh, plus $5.99 shipping. So $6. So $36.56. And this has been selling for right around like 68. I mean, a lot of those sales have been there. Some of these sales could have been upwards closer to 90. It has been lower in the past before, but generally this is a book that's held some value. So I would say that you're buying it at a pretty good discount. Like this would be a good pickup for sure. I would say, what would I list it at? I'd probably try to sell it at like $79.99. Get $20 profit. That's what I'd probably try to sell it at. I think it would move considering that there are no prime offers right now. And it looks like this does not have a newer edition. This came out in 1992. Yeah, so this is something that has been out for a long time. Clearly, it's held value in the past. So this is something, in my opinion, that's undervalued. I'd 100% pop on that. Your ROI wouldn't be 100%, but I think this is a for sure win on that book. So I'll let you all buy that if you want to buy it. If not, at the end of the stream, I'm gonna go pick that up. $69.99 is what we could buy this for over on eBay. We can actually buy it for as low as $41 over here on Amazon, though. So yeah, clearly this is a book that has gone down in value. So if we take a look, if we started at the beginning, right, this was basically sold by Amazon between 12 to 15 bucks. Then they went out of stock. Clearly, there's fewer people buying this book because who wants to spend 4x, 5x the retail price? Not a lot of people, but some people are willing to do that. So we have some sales right around 75, some at 80. Even have some sales over $100, close to 100 there. And then recently the price of this dropped down to about 34. But notice that the used offer count of this is starting to increase. So as this used offer count starts to creep back up, we're going to see that price come back down. So ideally, if we were to pick this up, we would see that the used offer count was kind of being very stable, being very steady. But I would bet that this price is going to continue to go down a little bit. So this is something you might want to track. You might even track it in new condition for if Amazon comes back in stock. One thing that I have noticed is with a lot of these books that a lot of these types of books, this isn't an anime book, I don't think, but a lot of these books during the pandemic, Amazon went out of stock, probably because they were non-essential items, and now they're starting to come back in stock a little bit with these again. So it's something I'd pass on for sure. But I want to open up this book, this Royal Indian Jewelry book, because it looks like it has a lot of value. So I want to see if this is something that would be worth tracking to set up maybe a potential future lead on this. Let's see. Yeah. So here's a great case of a great argument for tracking stuff in new condition. Basically, this was selling for about 80 bucks, and then Amazon came on the listing for $39.99. They were in stock for about 3 or 4 days. Interestingly, no one actually bought the book during that point in time. Not sure why. You would think someone would win. There's only one person tracking this. They are tracking it in for $35, basically in Amazon, third party, and in used condition. So they know what's up, although they are tracking it for 35, so they wouldn't have been notified here. But yeah, this is something that if Amazon came back in stock and they only had a couple copies, I would definitely pop on this at $39.95. So I'm just going to track this for $40 in new condition, also in third party new condition. And like I said, if they only have a couple copies in stock, which is probably what happened here, then I would be a player at that for sure. That's something I would do. Okay, let's see if there's anything else that we got here. What is this book? World Geography. 40 bucks is what it's been kind of selling at, and that's down to 14. Let's see. So we had a couple copies at 18. One of them is from Prime, or is from Amazon Warehouse. So right around $18. Then it goes up to $60, and that Prime seller at 60 has 9 copies. This has been moving for right around like $40. So I mean, again, probably not enough margin here. You'd have to buy it for 18, sell it for 40. You're not really going to make any money with that sort of margin, but it is a little bit undervalued right now. Betty Crocker, hand knitting. After the Bomb. That looks like that could be an interesting book. Okay, this looks promising. Again, not a ton of margin on this book here, but looks like this has already been bought out. But this would have been a good flip right here. Generally, this sells for around 50. You can see that basically today the price dropped down to $19.99. Let's just say that was free shipping. Probably wasn't, but if it was free shipping, $19.99, then you probably would have been easily able to flip this for right around like close to that new buy box, 64. So you probably could have flipped it for like 60. Was it 64? It's the lowest, maybe like $59.99. Would have been a good $20 profit. Notice that this book had a repricing war in the past as well. Went down to $5.74. Again, people, that's why I need to be tracking. So I'm going to track this book for $10, because if you were tracking this book and you got notified and you bought this at $5.74 plus shipping, you would have bought it for $9.99. You would have flipped it for $59.99. You would have made $30 profit. So that's why you track books. Let's see. G says, how do you choose the price for tracking a book? That's a really good question. It comes down to experience, but what I would say do is you're looking to see, one, establish what is a conservative selling price of the book. I think the easiest way to do that is to look at that lowest third-party used, or that lowest used price line there, and figure out what is the book moving for. So I would say, okay, worst case scenario, really this is moving for about $40. So you go, okay, if I'm going to sell for 40, that's what you put here. What price do I need to buy this at to make this worth it? So obviously buying it at $40 makes no sense, because you'd be losing $15. So you wouldn't track it at 40. And it's like, well, do I track it at 20? Well, if you track it at 20, you just have to ask yourself, are you okay with that $4 profit? And if you are, then maybe track it for 20. Personally, what I would do is figure out in the past, when has this book gone to a point in time, like at what point in time has this book gone to a price where you would have been stupid not to have bought this? And what I'm saying is you would have been stupid not to buy this book at $5 plus shipping. That's why I came up with $9.90, like $9, because even at $9, I think you'd be stupid not to buy this book. So that's why I said, at $9 plus $4 shipping, you would have been in it for 13. Like, I think that would have been an easy flip right there. So I would just say, look at the past, look at when this book has gone down to a price where it is so ridiculously cheap that you'd be stupid not to pick it up, and track it at that price. And if that happens again in the future, you can pick it up. So hopefully that helps you. Let me get that off the screen there. Okay, let's go back. See if there's anything else before we wrap the stream up. And look, we're only on page 1 of 3, right? We're not even through the 150 listings yet. And there's already been a couple of books that I would have bought. And there's definitely tons of books that I've set leads for, for potential trackers. A lot of the money, honestly, everyone is made in setting the trackers and getting notified in the future. All right, so this is something that holds a little bit of value. It looks like to buy this in new condition from Prime, $52. There are third-party news sellers a little bit lower than that, right around 32. Let's take a look. So there's actually, but they have a $20 shipping. So actually it is right around like 45 is the cheapest price to buy this in new condition. This looks like a baby book right here. This is what you do in the first year. I think that's what that says. Like what you can do in the first year. I think that's what that means. Somebody right here at $6.99. Look, they're playing dirty. $18.99 shipping. So that's why that showed up. So this book definitely holds some value. But they're playing a little bit of trickery with that price there. Let's go over to eBay again, because I did get a message back from a seller. Let's see what the response now is. So let's see. I said, hey, would you do 40? And He said, "Hi, no thank you." Alright. So we sent an offer. I mean, it wasn't a I mean, it was an offer that was like $20 less than what they were asking for, so it wasn't like I was necessarily expecting them to say yes, but sometimes they do, and if they do, then you have a good book. So what do we've been sourcing for about an hour. There would have been like 3 or 4 books that I would have bought already. Um, Nothing that was too amazing that I was like, "Alright, this is a home run," but definitely solid pickups. This is I think right here is probably a solid pickup as well. Let's take a look at this. Traditional Herbal Remedies of the Southwest. So this came out in 2008. Obviously not a textbook. Let's look at the used offers here. There's one in acceptable condition, and then it goes up to 85. I think 85 and 120 are going to be definitely unrealistic, but this is definitely undervalued. Now, this guy has good ratings, so it's possible that even though there is no condition, that this could be in decent condition still if they have 100% feedback. So you might actually look at the storefront, see what their feedback looks like. But this book has been moving for about 25 plus, pretty realistically. Generally, you tend to think that you can get a little bit of a prime bump for sure if you're selling this prime. There is history of it selling up to 60, so you know that that looks like that is what the ceiling is. And if we look back into time when Amazon was on the listing, they're selling this for right around 12. So no, $10 is plus shipping. Yeah, so you'd have to spend 14 on this. I doubt Amazon would come back in stock on something like this. And this is something that I'd probably list at 39.9 like 39.99 or maybe 45. 39.99 you'd make about $12 profit. So that's what I would probably price that to move it at. Like I said, it has sold up to 65. So you could be aggressive with your reprice, or you could set your max price to 65. And I mean, definitely someone did sell it at 65. So it is potential for you to get that. But yeah, this is something that I'd probably pop on. I would have wished that this was in good condition, but this guy has good feedback. And if he has good feedback, then probably he's probably under promising, over delivering would be my guess here. Arrived quickly in perfect conditions. That's good. Look, perfect condition, perfect. So that's all good. Those are good signs. So that's something that I would pop on for sure. Like I said, I'd probably put $39.99 would be my min price for my repricer. I'd set my max price probably at 65, and then I'd just let it ride there. But that's what I would do. Let's see. Do you stay at a certain ROI for tracking a book, or always at 25% of your target price? I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of opportunities. I stay at 25% target price. I would say, May, it comes down to my perception of how quickly the book's going to sell. I'm willing to take a lower ROI on something that's going to sell more frequently. And for things that are going to take much longer to sell, I want the ROI to be much higher. So I would say general thumb rule for me is like, if something's going to sell within a month, I'm okay going like a 30% ROI. Generally, I don't really want to go below that. But if I think like it's going to sell within a month, I'm okay with 30% ROI. If I know that it's something that's going to take on average three and a half months to sell, I'd probably want to be like minimum 75% ROI, to be honest with you. But it's just based upon my perception of how fast it's going to sell. Glenn says 2797. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Would you mind clarifying? What do you mean when you say exploit the buy box? That's a great question. Let me go and show you. I actually have a filter on Flipmine set up exactly for this. So I have a filter on Flipmine called Prime Gap Example. So this Prime Gap example is looking for books on eBay that are less than $12, and the Amazon to FBM price difference is 25. So I think the best way to show you is just through an example. So let me just go and open up some of these listings to see if I can see if there is a prime gap on any of these books. I would bet that there definitely is going to be. Let's see, probably this book right here. All right, let's take a look at some of these books. So what do I mean by exploit the buy box? Exploit the prime box. All right, here's exactly what I mean. So first book. So look at this. I think let's see, you were Michael. Okay, yeah. Let me go ahead and take that off there. All right, so here's a great example of that. Right now, you can buy this for $3.35 plus $4 shipping. You can buy this for $7 or $8. You can get it March 13th to March 14th. So you can get it in as low as about 6 days. You can get this and basically spend under $10. Yet the buy box price, which is this price right over here in the buy box, is $89.68. So clearly, this person is heavily trying to exploit the buy box because this book over the last year has value right around $10. That's the lowest used price. That represents its floor price. That is basically what the market values this book at. Yet this person's trying to move their copy at $99.99. So they're trying to exploit the buy box, meaning exploit the prime bump, because even though this book inherently is worth $10, they're trying to sell it for 90. So if they sell it at 90, they've exploited the buy box. And the reason why they made money is not because they bought a book that was undervalued, but because they exploited the fact that people have Prime and they might want to get this in 2 days rather than in 6 days. My question to you, Michael, is think about yourself. If you needed this book, if you wanted this Myth of the Goddess book, would you rather spend $8 and get it in 6 days, or would you spend $90 and get it? What does this say here? You probably would get it next day. So it's, I mean, let me know what you would think there. But that's an example of the prime gap. This one doesn't really have a prime gap. It's really just the difference in price between the lowest merchant offer and the buy box. So here's another great example of a prime gap. A lot of people, when they go on FlipMine, like, all right, I'm going to pick this up for $5 or $6 on Amazon or eBay. I'm going to flip it for 41. That's the buy box price. But again, if you take a look at this history, the Keep It chart here, generally, with the exception of these few months here when the book actually did factory sell for about 30, most of the time this book is worth right around $5 to $6. Interestingly, though, this book actually has been up a little bit higher in value in the past. So maybe this is a little bit less of a realistic buy box. But the point here is, if you were to buy it at $5 or $6 and you want to sell it for 41, the way you're making money is by exploiting the prime bump, exploiting the buy box. So hopefully that makes sense. I see Glenn over here. He's doing some work. He's entering all these numbers in by mistake. No worries, man. Let's go and take a look. Let's keep going. Yeah, no worries, man. Glad to help. Honestly, like, so here's an example of a realistic buy box. Lowest used price is $4.98. Buy box is $4.98. Like, this is what the used price of this book is generally throughout the last year. I mean, that's what it's going to sell for. That's a realistic buy box. I'm not saying that you can't exploit the buy box. You should try to exploit the buy box. You should just be reasonable in it. That those first few examples, like, are unreasonable. Like trying to sell a book that's inherently worth $8 and flip it for 90. Like, you're never going to sell that book, because most people are not willing to go ahead and spend that much money for it. Here's a book that actually would be flippable here. So if we take a look on FlipMine, this is up $11. It's in acceptable condition, which is not great. So I probably wouldn't buy it for that reason. In the recent past, this has been selling for about $30. So I mean, if you were to buy it for let's just call it 12. If you were to send it in for what it was selling for, right around like 33, I mean, you make a $6 profit, 50% ROI. It doesn't really move that much. And also, I wouldn't actually buy this because in the past it's been as low as $3. So, there's definitely inherent risk that it could bottom out in price. So I would, for two reasons, pass on this. One, it's acceptable condition that makes me not want to buy it. And then two, this has been much cheaper in the past. But I mean, it was selling in last August over 70, right? Here's a sell at 60, sell at 70. Here's a sell at probably 95 in new condition. So last textbook season was moving for some pretty good amount of money. See if there's anything else over here on eBay. So by the way, I'm using a software called FlipMine. If you never use FlipMine, you can get a free trial down below. It's linked below. You're literally just trying to find undervalued books on eBay and flip them over on Amazon. And my experience using FlipMine is that you're not going to find a ton of books, but the books that you do find are going to be pretty great. My average profit per book on books that I buy on eBay is about $49. So definitely some great potential flips there. 23 for Big Five. Apparently doesn't hold much value, so we're going to exit out of that as well. All right, let's see what Glenn's got here for us. In the FlipMine settings, would you please explain the inferred lowest offer? Which one do you use and why? So 30, 60, 90, and 180. This is a really good question, Glenn. So FlipMine, my inferred lowest offer, I do the 180-day moving average, because generally I think the longer period of time you look at, if you're looking for an average, like, the outlier points in time should be filtered out. Like, they should be averaged out. So like, if there's a book that, let's say, is $30 6 months ago, then it's 50, then it goes down to 40, then it goes up to 80. It's like the average value of all those is probably a little bit more realistic to what it's worth. Ideally, Glenn, you'd find a book that um, is basically just worth like $50 or $60 a whole year. And so that Infurlos offer that comes back is very accurate, but it's just very unlikely that the Infurlos offer is actually going to be super accurate because it's hard for Flipmine to know when the book has been selling. And actually, I think the main reason people get so frustrated with using Flipmine is because the values that they bring back are just based upon what the price of this book has, like the way that the lowest use price has changed over time, but it has no way of taking into account of whether or not those prices were reasonable and if people are buying them at that price. So, this is, for example, over the last 180 days, Flipmine saying that this came back at, what is this, $204, even though this has factually been as low as 60. But the point is, there have been times when the used price has been 350, and it's like, well, did the book sell when this was 350? No, but it's still factored into that average there. So I tend to just like to look at more data rather than less data. So 180 days rather than 30 or 60, because you have more of an opportunity to try to filter out some of those more extreme values by taking the average. So it's not perfect. All I'll say is that, this is called flip mine for a reason. Like it's like mining. It's going to give you a lot of potential leads. It's going to give you a lot of duds as well, though. So you're going to have to dig through the data for sure. Okay, let's see. This is something that's been selling for right around, it has sold pretty consistently for the 140 range. This is, again, something that I would track. Like, it's been as low as 40. I would 100% would have picked this book up at $40. So I'm going to track this book for 40. I'm actually going to track it for 45. What was it available for? It was available for 127. Yeah, I wouldn't buy it 127, but I would definitely consider 45. All right, this vampire book looks interesting. We can pick this up for $30. Let's go over here to Amazon. This actually looks pretty decent. Buy box is 74. Lowest use price is 50. So this, again, is a little bit of a prime bump right there. Now let's take a look at the history here. Again, this is not going to be something, though, that I would buy. Why? Because this price of $29.99 is actually higher than what you could have bought it for in the past. The best time to have bought this book would have been back here in July for $5.15. And if you would have bought that plus shipping, you would have been all in for $9.15. This book has been moving right around $30, probably 25 to 30. So, you wouldn't even make a ton of money. You'd probably have to list it at $29.99, and you'd make it like $6 or so. But yeah, this is something that I'm probably not going to track because it doesn't really have its ceiling is actually pretty low. It doesn't really go up too high. But yeah, you're welcome, Glenn. Glad that was helpful. All right, operating systems. I have sold this book before in the past. Buy box coming in at 280. Lowest merchants 108. So again, that's the prime gap. This person's trying to heavily exploit the buy box right now. You can see that I am tracking this for about $45. And there was one point in time where it did get to $45. And unfortunately, I was not able to buy it because it would have said I bought it up here. But if I was able to buy it when it hit my tracker, then that would have been a good flip. Let's see, why did I not buy this? So this was January. This would have been what? Right around what's the time here? It would have been 2:30 p.m. January 26th. What day was January 26th? January 26th. Was it Thursday? Okay, so the reason why I didn't buy this book is because I was at school. I was teaching high school. So I was teaching chemistry. There's no way I could have bought this book. But if I was around at that time, then I would have bought that for sure. Because if I would have picked this up for, what was the price? $34.15 plus shipping, would have been something like $38.13. Look at all these other sales here. Actually, there's only been 2 sales since then. So even if you sold it for $103, which is what those people sold at, you'd have basically made 100% return. So again, another reason why tracking books is going to be super, super important. You're welcome, Glenn. All right, everybody. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'll probably hang out for like 5 or so minutes if anyone has any specific questions. Otherwise, I'll let everyone head off and enjoy the weekend. Like I said, I do have a Discord group. that's all about buying books on Amazon and eBay and flip them back on Amazon. There's about 100 people in that group. A lot of great information. If you want to find out, or if you want to become part of that Discord group, you can hit the link down below in the description. Also, I do have a newsletter that I'm going to start sending out some exclusive things to people who are subscribers. So it's also free. You just have to, give me your email for that. And then also, I have recently started doing some coaching. So if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, there's also that link below. But I'm curious. Some questions for you is like, how's everyone's March doing so far? Yeah, Chris, have a good one, man. Have a great weekend. How's everyone's March of sales going so far? I'm actually pretty low right now. So it's March 4th. I'm at, well, not low. I mean, I'm at $1,104 on the month. So 4 days in, about 1,100. That's about like $300 a day. So if I were to continue that, it'd be just under $10,000 probably. Let's get logical. And maybe I need a shirt. Rosemary says, let's get logical. Let's be logical or something. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. But how are everyone else's sales going in March? Or how is everyone's February? I think I ended February with $13,000 in sales, which is pretty good. It's a non-textbook season, obviously. And that is pretty good for me. February. Ooh, please comment on buying international editions. When using Book Finder, it frequently shows it as a purchase option. Yeah, international editions, they need to have their own unique listing. There are a lot of international editions available for sale on Amazon. So if you just type in ISE, which is International Student Edition, let's just type in like biology or something. So like, for example, these are all international editions here. So international editions still hold some pretty good value. Like these are at 60. This is at 60 as well. So the way that I know it's international is that there's this thin little white bar at the top that says the International Student Edition is for use outside of the US. So, I mean, I've sold tons of books on the International Student Edition. So that's what I would say is if you are picking them up, sell them on that listing specifically. That's what I would say. Ooh, let's go, Chris. So Chris is about 1,100. I'm at $1,104. So I don't know if I'm beating you by $4, Chris, but but that's cool. Chris, are you doing all books? I'm curious to know. JV says send in 3 boxes of books in Amazon over the last 2 weeks, just waiting for everything. Let's go. Have you been JV? Are the books that you bought, are they from Amazon? Are they Amazon to Amazon flips, or are they local? Is it going to thrift stores and library sales, or are they Amazon and eBay flips? That's really exciting though, dude. Congrats to you getting your account set up and sending in your first few boxes. That's literally the hardest thing on Amazon. It's like to get the ball rolling. It's just to get the account open, to get some books sent in. So awesome for you, man. Okay, Chris says mostly books, but a few DVDs and CDs. Nice. Chris, I'm curious, are you also doing mostly the thrift store and the library sales, or are you also all doing all OA, like book OA? I'm curious. You're welcome, Glenn. No worries, man. Still trying to sell. Excuse me. Still trying to sell $1,000 a month. You're gonna get there, Rosemary. Keep coming to the lives. Set your trackers. You're gonna get notified. You're gonna find some good books to flip. You'll build slowly over time. You're gonna get there. Well, I'll say, Rosemary, is that if you're struggling to get $1,000 a month, I would highly recommend checking out the local, your local marketplace, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace. There are some good textbooks, definitely, that you can grab. I would say that, it's not like there's going to be massive influxes of textbooks on OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace in your local area, but definitely stuff should come up somewhat frequently. Like you should probably be able to do one book up, like one book pick up a day on average. Like when I was able to do that. And again, I have the series 0 to 1,000. Episode 2 is going to be coming out probably later next week sometime. But all those have been local pickups and they've been great. Let's go, Glenn. I appreciate it. Smash the like button. Yeah, it does help out the channel a lot. I appreciate it. Rosemary, smash it. Let's go. Chris says that he started with OA and Zen Arbitrage, then transitioned to all thrift stores. Now getting back into OA with Keepa and your guidance. Let's go, man. That's cool. Zen Arbitrage. I'm curious, what were your thoughts about Zen Arbitrage, Chris? I put out a poll on my community page on YouTube maybe about a month ago. I said, hey, Would you all like to see me trial Zen Arbitrage? I've never actually used it before, but my understanding is that Zen Arbitrage is basically just buy lowest merchant, flip it for the prime bump, try to exploit the prime gap. So probably what it's going to be if I were to use it, but it still could be useful. It'd be interesting to go ahead and look at it to see if potentially there's value in it. I think definitely, and it's hard to say because I haven't used it, but I would definitely say probably Keepa is way better than Zen Arbitrage with its own features. So JV says I have some mix, mostly Goodwill. One box was eBay to Amazon and Amazon flips. Let's go, man. Let's go. Yeah, like I said, I don't really have much time to go out and do the thrifting, all that stuff, because generally I am, I'm teaching. I have a 9 to 5 job. I teach from basically I'm out the door 6:30 a.m. come back around 4 to 5 p.m. I have a lovely wife. I have a little boy. I don't really want to spend more time away from them. So basically, I do my sourcing when they go to bed and in the early morning, and that's why I'm so happy that Keepa exists, because it allows you, Keepa and Flipmine allows you to definitely find some good books online. All right. I think with that, we had 17 people watching. I appreciate everyone being here. You're giving up your Saturday morning to be here. That's really awesome. So again, check out the links below if you want to support the channel. But otherwise, I'm gonna take it easy. Always live stream 6:30 a.m. PST on Saturday mornings. So we got that. All right, everybody. That's it. That's all I got for you today. But says Chris, I spent too much time looking at Zen Arbitrage, solely trying to exploit the bump, which doesn't always work. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Same thing with eFlip, same thing with Master Book Flippers. Is like software is trying to find the difference in price between the merchant and the buy box. You can make money for sure, but like I said, it's just way harder to do that. What's up, Steve? Good to see you here, Steve. I'm so sorry. I'm actually heading off now. I've been live for about like an hour and 15 minutes, but feel free to go back and watch the live stream. But thanks for stopping by, man. All right, AJ, thank you very much. Take it easy. All right, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.